Welcome to Ladies TalkShow. This is your host, Leah Richeimer. We have an amazing, yummy person, okay, who's coming on. This is a Get Real with Leah. So you know, whatever I call her as her name is a fake, and whatever I say, the details, whatever. So, but anyway, I'm going to welcome, very happy to have you here, Michal. Thank you for coming to the show. Tell me, what can I help you with today?
Going through marriage for Hashem, it's been dreamy after I started your classes. And the thing I'm finding most is when I have a child that's not yet married, and I feel that gets in the way of our shalom bayis between me and my husband. Sometimes it's because he pits us against each other, but sometimes it's because I can't control myself to not have outbursts when something's happening. It's like, but you're giving him credence.
You mean you're saying if your husband and you do things differently, and in front of your son, you'll tell your husband that?
Or my son will get us to like, oh, you're not doing things right. And then he and I will like sort of have a little spat about, which way we should do it. And it's like, but you can't take his side, or you can't let him say, well, mommy's wrong, because that only makes us have less shalom bayis in the house. So I need you to just stay with me. We're married to each other, and ignore him. But I could sometimes get a little bit loud when that happens. Like, why are you listening to him? Why are you letting him get in between us?
Mm-hmm. I hear. Totally. I can't relate to this at all. I'm sure nobody can relate to this. Hello, Michal. Hello. Okay. So question for you. Have you had any preemptive conversations with your husband about this issue?
So we have a little trouble, Baruch Hashem, even though married a long, long time, there's an issue with talking. He's not a talker, and whatever situations in his life, he wasn't used to being brought up with talking. And so we don't always have that ability. I can understand him, and I'm very supportive of him. And I was a true good listener from date one, which is what I think he loved about me. And when he saw me, wanted to marry me after seeing a bunch of girls prior to that. And I think that that's where my strength is, to be a listener. But I can't get into deep conversation because he feels threatened, I believe. I believe that's what it is. Like that there's something wrong with him. And so I try not to go there. Mm-hmm. I'm safer when I don't go there.
I hear. It's nice. It's nice of you. But it's not working. Hello.
It's working all the time. There are
right. Yeah. Right.
And I'll say, let's don't continue it now. Now is not a good time to talk about it. I'll get a little.
You'll say that to yourself, or you're saying it to him?
I'll say that to my husband. Like, let's not talk about it now. Like, he's here and he's making me anxious. He's making you anxious. This is not a time to talk about it. Like, let's talk about it later.
Give me one example of what your son does. What's an example of something that?
Oh boy. Well, it's pretty harsh, because I believe he would be labeled as narcissistic. Okay. And so when everything else is wrong, and everything in the fridge is wrong, and everything around is wrong, because he's anxious and he has OCD beside. So it only makes us all jittery. So if he comes in and goes like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do that. How could you live like this? How could you live in a place like this? How could you live with a refrigerator like this? And if, let's say, my husband would side with him, so then of course that gets me hurt. And I'll try to explain to him later that, you can't do that. You know that he does this to us, and it ruins our shalom bayis.
Right. So let me just ask you a question. Michal, thank you. I'm with you. But the question is, when you say you can't do this because da-da-da-da-da, if he came to you and said, Michal, you can't do this because da-da-da-da, you're like, well, yes, I can. Whereas if you came to him, let me just ask you, if you came to him and said, I'm not sure what to do, dear. I really don't know. And you take the whole problem and you take it and you hand it in his lap and say, what do you think we should do because whatever Moishi is pitting us against each other. He knows exactly which buttons to press to make the maximum tumult, to make the maximum, whatever. He knows exactly. Brilliant guy. He's got OCD or whatever else he has. He's got this down. What do you think we should do, sweetheart? How would
sometimes
that go?
Sometimes I have done that, and he'll say, "You just have to ignore him. He's like off the rocker. Just ignore him." And I'll say, "But I can't always ignore him. Not at those times where it's always that crucial time. It's
when you're being attacked."
Right. Oh, I can't stand that. That's the hardest thing of any part of marriage, is that feeling of attack. So
and you're feeling attacked by the son. You're feeling attacked by the son, who's really good at it, right? And then when your husband goes on his side, then that just crushes you.
Oh yeah. So then I know I have to have needles training, I have to count to 10, but at that moment it's so hard to do.
Right.
So I said, I wonder what Leah's going to tell me, because this is needles training. I don't know if this is the course that we're going to have in a 30-minute session.
Right. I hear. There's dealing with a situation by improving your character, which is gewalt. Like, you're a very special Michal. That's where you're going with this. Beating yourself, they're doing their beating up. You're also beating yourself up for not being who you think you could be in that given situation, in that treacherous situation. But there's also some hishtadlus that's required of you to set things up better in your home. And that might involve, if you're saying your husband doesn't have a good conversation and blah, 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 go to your son and take him out. Not doable. You're not. She's going like this. But hear me out for 1 second. Hear me out for 1 second.
I'll hear you. Yeah.
You taking him out. You bring him to the mall and you get him a new tie and a new pair of shoes, a new watch, whatever it is. You treat him. It's your birthday. It's not your birthday. It's your birthday in 6 months. So we should celebrate it now. Whatever. You take him out and you get him some really awesome thing. Then you sit down and have ice cream. Forget about the dinner and the meal. Ice cream, okay? You sit him down and then you say, I wanted to talk to you about something I'm really not sure how to handle. I know that, you're not married yet, whatever, and we're working on it. If you are, I don't know, or I don't know how old this kid is, but you say, I'm not quite sure what to do. I feel like, as a parent, I feel like it's my obligation to teach you how to have a beautiful home, how to have peace in the home. I feel like that's my obligation. And I feel like we've gotten to such a icky pattern. It's not a good pattern. It's not good for you. It's not good for us. I'm not sure what to do and how to grow it. I'm coming to sit down with you to find out from you. If you were a psychiatrist coming to our family and you walked in and you watched the dynamic and you watched the fighting and you watched how the whole thing unfolds, what advice would you give you as the, son? What advice would you give the mommy and the daddy? What would you tell us to do? Because what we're doing right now ain't working. And I wanted to have a deep heart-to-heart with you to get your advice on how you think we can improve the situation.
Okay, I hear that. He is sometimes super delightful, but when it comes to marriage, and I won't go into his personal life, that it's not his forte. Talk to him about that, because of what he went through in his life, privately, having nothing to do with us.
He had divorce. He got married and got divorced.
Yep.
She's nodding. Okay. He got. And how long was he married?
6 years, 3 kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the fact that his mommy, right? The fact that his mommy respects his opinion on this will mean the world to him, because you can say, based on you had a really terrible situation, a very hard thing. So you must know what it feels like when things don't work. So, I'd like your advice on how to, people who've gone through difficulty sometimes have the best advice on things. And so I wanted your advice on what it is. And I want you to know something here, Michal, is that there was a kid, and it's a circuitous story, but basically, short story. This parent came to me. I don't consider myself a parenting expert. Shalom bayis, yes, I've been threatened many decades. But parenting, whatever. Okay, maybe I know a little bit more than the next guy. Maybe I don't. I don't know. They came to me and asked me. They said, "I don't know what to do. The babysitter thinks my son is stealing from her purse. That he took some things from her purse and whatever. Can you come down on him?" And she said, I feel like that's going to crush the kid. So the advice I gave her, don't know if it was right or wrong. It worked, but maybe that was a lucky guess. I said to her, "Do you have a secret stash of money somewhere in your house?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Tell your son, listen, I just want you to know, I keep $100 underneath the, phone table underneath the bottom. So if there's ever an emergency and I'm not home, that's where we keep the money." She looked at me like, he's saying she stole. What, Leah, what? He's saying she's worried she stole. I said, no, if he feels like you totally trust him, his stature of himself he sees himself as a trustworthy person. Anyway, it worked in her case. So the way I know is she a couple of weeks later, she told me that he had this whole conversation with her about how much that meant to her. So, whatever. But anyway, how much the kid said how much it meant to him, and the mother told that to me. Anyway, the issues, he still might be stealing. I don't know if it were. The point I'm making is that if you, first of all, there's another, we're going to get to how to deal with your husband in a second, but I'm just saying, if you have your son on board, and the way to do that is to solicit, in other words, when you have a board of directors, right, you have a guy and he goes and he's running this, the CEO, he knows he wants to buy, the conglomerate that's next door in the building and the whatever, whatever, the shoe store next door. He wants to buy. So he goes to the board meeting and everyone's talking. He knows what he wants. And he says, "What do you think we should do? We need more items to sell." "Well, let's buy the candy store now." And they go, "Okay, well, let's do this. Let's do it." And then someone says, "Let's buy the shoe store." And he's like, "Oh, why do you think we should buy the shoe store?" "Well, this and this and this reason." "That's a great, all in favor. I. So now the entire room has buy-in, right? Certainly the guy who said, "Let's buy the shoe store," has buy-in. They're going to get a lot more success in buying that shoe store than if he can come and said, "Okay, everybody sit down. We're buying the shoe store next door. Everybody get on page. That's what we're doing," like that. So you, as the CEO of your family, right? If you go to him and you say, "What do you think we should do?" I don't, and he come out of his mouth, he said, if Daddy starts taking my side, I'm going to say, "Daddy, I don't think, for shalom bayis, you should take my side." In other words, put the whole, get some buy-in from this kid. Get some, have him have an understanding. This will be great for his next Emir to Shem. He'll have a zivug and he'll start over and have a good whatever. This is, you're training him to be a mensch, and you're training him to, he's digging up. Now, it's probably because he's angry. Going through a divorce is one of the biggest crushes to a person's self-esteem and self-thing. And then whatever issues he's having now with his ex-wife and with his kids, his brain is in a tumult, and you guys are the dog, kick the dog. God forbid, I didn't mean to call you a dog. Please forgive me. I shouldn't have scratched that, but I'm just saying, someone comes home with their boss yells at them all day. They come home and they kick the dog. That's what they do. So, he's taking out all his upset on you, and he knows exactly what to trigger, which you already know.
Okay.
That.
Yes.
Yeah. So, starting.
We have wonderful conversations sometimes, and he's really very helpful, and he helps both my husband and me with a lot in the house and a lot of life. He feels he does have.
What do you mean in a lot of life?
Like he's the CEO. Anything. It could be from money to helping other children to helping us buy a car or bring kids in from Israel with tickets. He knows so many things and he's very, very, very helpful.
Wow, Baruch Hashem. But in this Indian, in this area, he sabotages the whole.
When he gets to an issue point, maybe for himself or something, again, the OCD, it kicks in. And then when he's anxious, it backlogs over to us.
You say to him, listen, when you get OCD, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do that's productive, because what we're doing now when you get OCD is totally destructive to you, totally destructive to our family. This is zero tolerance from pouring your garbage on us. It's not tolerable. I mean, you know your son better than I'm giving you things you could try. You could do the nice sweet, which is probably the most effective way or whatever.
We do, right?
No, I'm saying sweet in talking turkey with him and saying, tell me what to do. Tell me how to handle this, because it cannot. Zero tolerance, Michal. Zero. One more time. You putting up with this is causing your son to do one of the biggest averas, derisa averas in the world, which is sharing shalom bayis. He will pay for this. He will, God forbid, unless he does tshuva in a big way, he will pay. You are causing pain to yourselves and to your son by putting up with it. You have to stop it. So the ideas I'm giving you are not, this is one good idea. No, you have to choose one of these methodologies that you're going to have to implement. And you have to have zero tolerance to let it happen anymore. It's not okay. You're allowing your son to do one of the perhaps the biggest avera, which is sharing shalom bayis.
Yes.
Yes. What?
Yes, but it's impossible to stop somebody. You could say, leave. That's not helping. That's not working. I wish I could. It at one point in his life was something that we were told, hold on to him. Take care of him. Don't let him take himself down and out, if you know what that means. Okay, so
you're saying he lives under your roof?
Yes.
Right. He lives under your roof. And I don't know, how often do these incidents happen?
Oh, they could be brief and once a day. They could be a blow up 3 or 4 days to once a week.
What is blow up every 3 or 4 days, you're saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they're steady.
Yeah, it's been steady. That's why I took the show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why you're here, meaning. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. So I don't know, and it's a shaila for a Rav, the Rav who told you, hold on tight and bring him close and whatever, that's beautiful for a boy of 18 and 21 and whatever, is a kid off the derech, or a kid that isn't following whatever, there's a lot of reasons you bring a kid close. And I don't know whether you asked the shaila recently or a long time ago or whatever, but you need a shaila. This boy is sabotaging my shalom bayis. And the first question the Rav's going to ask you is, what did he say when you confronted him? What actions have you tried? How many things have you told him? How many, in other words, he's living in your house. Every time he pulls a tantrum, basically. I don't care. He's got OCD, whatever he has, he's got to be respectful of the home. It's your home and it's your relationship. But every time he pulls something like that, oh, I'm sorry, no dinner for you tonight. go out to eat, go do whatever you want. You're not getting served dinner tonight. I'm really
He's
sorry.
independent with that. Yes, so I don't have to do that.
Something.
Right.
Something.
And when
you're
my
not sleeping in
husband
your
says
room.
something-
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I know we talk about that. That's a tough.
The point is, you're much better off having. He sounds like a Menchie kid. Also, besides this stabbing,
Yes.
he's a Menchie
Right.
kid with a sword.
Oh,
basically.
so
Okay.
much. So much.
So when he's got the sword, you have to say you're a Menchie kid with a sword. The sword has to go out of the house. We can't have the sword in the house anymore. I get it. You're OCD about the fridge or whatever. Somehow it brings daddy on side or whatever. Daddy's like, ignore it. It doesn't bother daddy as much or whatever, but it brings out the worst in me. And it brings out a conflict in shalom bayis. And that's also derisive, sweetheart. I'm sorry.
Right.
I've been putting up for it for way too long. The buck stops here. It's over. It's over. So I don't know I don't know him well enough to know which of these strategies I'm saying, whether it's playing hardball or whether it's, ameliorating. I don't know him well enough. But the bottom line is you gotta be strong and you gotta make the decision. Not only is it bad for your own shalom bayis, but now you're welcoming it. The more you continue to let him do this, I was going to say poisonous
It is poisonous
behavior,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The more you let him do this, now it's on you. Now the staring of the shalom bayis is on you if you aren't stopping him. So there is a way to do it with your husband if you're, if a kid's uncontrollable and whatever, but you're saying that's a blank wall also. You can't get there.
Sometimes my husband actually does stand up and say, you can't talk to mommy that way. And
fantastic.
I'm so proud that you told him that because that's what he has to see. He has to
and
see.
And also, hold on. It's not even just so proud. You're proud of him, but you have to say, that means the world to me, husband. That is
right.
That's what we need. If you did that, he would stop. That would help stop his behavior. There's a thing about loyalty. And I have news for you, Michal. The more loyalty you show to your husband, the more he'll show to you. So loyalty
is what I'm doing. And that's working, and that's because of you. More and more and more.
Baruch Hashem, kol hakavod. It's hard. It's a big transition because loyalty is gone from today's world. Like what? What's loyalty? Yes. Like every man for himself. Let's go. And loyalty is gone. So kol hakavod that you're working on being more loyal to your husband. And by the way, I have a lot of shows on loyalty and
I've listened to them.
Okay, 21 Days to Loss in Marriage talks all about loyalty. So the issue about loyalty is it's the biggest gift you can give to your husband, and it's the biggest gift that you'll get back because you'll just reap the rewards a thousandfold. It's such a beautiful thing, and a man needs it like oxygen. So,
I see it's working, and it's helping.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
Put out his clothing on Friday for Shabbos. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. I put his chair in after Kiddush and Hamotzi. I do the things. I set the table with him in mind first.
Yeah,
cleaners. I know I don't pick up from the cleaners his stuff first. I know you've talked about that. A lot of this stuff. In fact, when we first got married, people thought, oh, you're henpecked. Like you can't get your own food. Your wife has to go to the buffet and get it for you. Can't you pick your own stuff? You're just eating what you... No, it was because I was serving him. My parents did have a wonderful relationship. I was serving him. He was my husband. Of course I want to get him the meal and bring it to the table.
So beautiful, beautiful. So, okay. So now let's just figure out between your husband and your son, how are you going to solve this?
Because we do have conversations, both a little bit with my husband. Like I said, when he's standing up for me, I do give him that credit and say, yes, not only that I feel good that you stood up for me because our son has to see that our shalom bayis is priority. And you showed him that. And he might say, you don't have shalom bayis. That also hurts when the child says that. Not a child, but, says, oh, you don't have shalom bayis. And I'll answer back, unfortunately, well, you have ended a marriage. We're still in it all these years. So don't talk about me not having shalom bayis. Even if we have some disputes sometimes. I am here. We're married. Our kids are married off. We're grandparents. We're good in-laws. So don't tell me how to be married because I don't think you've proven that you could be married yet.
That would be painful to hear if I were in his shoes.
It is painful, but sometimes, after I'm in pain, I answer back in a painful way. That's my problem. That's what I was talking about, getting angry. That even if it's my husband who might say something or agree, that's when all of a sudden I get explosive. It's like, why are you siding with it? That's exactly the point. Whichever one is making me feel like they've just turned the fire up underneath me gets the boiling water poured on them.
I got it.
Otherwise, I think we're doing great as shalom bayis. And like I said, all your classes and your book, it's increasing by being better, knowing that we have to be for the next 25, 30 years, however many Hashem wants us, a good married couple, standing up for each other and doing for each other.
Right. So the issue is the way to overcome the intensity of that emotion when you're attacked is preemptively. Everything has to happen preemptively. In the moment, it's too big a hurdle for anybody.
Right.
You need to preemptively figure out how to solve this. If there's one message that is the most important that I want to give you, and that is zero tolerance. It's not okay. Whether you have to walk out of the room, you have to have zero tolerance for his behaving that way, and you have to have zero tolerance for yourself of it brings out the worst in you. It will bring out the worst in anybody, Michal. It would bring out the worst. So zero tolerance. I mean, this is it. This is the last day. From this day forward, zero tolerance. Now, whether that means you have to walk out of the room, steam coming out.
I've done that.
And does that work?
Slammed a door. Well, for that day, it ends the conversation. It's like, I don't have to listen to you.
Good.
You're speaking disrespectfully.
Yeah, that's fine.
Torah. The more you talk, the more avera you have. So,
that's right.
Goodbye.
Okay, fine. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. That's a madrega. That's what you should do. That's what you should do.
Yes.
But your ticket out of this is preemptive conversations. That's your ticket. Now, I've given you a bunch of different things you could say, how to say them, what to say, how to approach it, or whatever. You know them, you know the parties. I don't know what's going to work with anybody. And also, if you're dealing with an issue of OCD and then you said he's all anxious and he can't control himself, which that could, he has a responsibility to control himself. But if he cannot control himself, you leave. But you have to have a bulletproof plan to never let your son stare your shalom bayis and never let him bring out the absolute worst in you. And you're saying it happens and I want to learn how to make it not happen. It can't happen. You have to preemptively think of what are you going to do? And you can tell his mood. You can probably tell his mood when he parks the car and is walking up the driveway to your house to the front door. You can probably tell, something fishy's going to happen. I can just feel it. You've known him his whole life. You can probably tell. She's nodding. You can probably tell. So you need to turn to your husband and say, I see Moshe walking up the walk. I can tell he's anxious and he's going to attack us. Just watch it unfold. My request to you, sweetheart, whatever he says, stand by me. Stay loyal to me, no matter what comes out of his mouth, no matter what he says, no matter, it's not real. You can listen to it and say, yeah. It makes no difference to you. To me, it hurts me deeply. When he says, what's in the fridge? How can you live like that? You can brush it off because you know he's nuts or he's whatever you said your husband, I forget. I didn't mean to call your son nuts, but whatever your husband said, what did you say? He was out of it.
He calls him nuts too.
Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know.
He walks out, he goes, but he's nuts.
Yeah, right. That I think that's what you did say before. But anyway, so you say he's not, but what he says, even you're a man, and it's like water off a duck's back. You don't care less. When he says, "How can you live like this?" It gets me in my gut, like my whole pride of being a woman and being a mommy and being whatever, and all the work I've worked so hard on myself, my mitos and my keeping my home good, everything I've worked in. I feel like he's shredding it to bits. And maybe if I was a more mature person, a bigger person, I would be able more like you, or more masculine, which you don't want to be. If I was more like that, maybe it wouldn't, but it affects me deeply. So he's walking up the driveway. I see he's in an anxious mood. Get ready for the attack. And when he attacks, stick up for me. That's all I'm asking, like that.
Right.
And
that's really what I have to do. I have to get to my husband to more catch himself before he says, just let it roll off. Why are you answering him back? In the middle of a fight, that's what he'll say. Just don't let it roll off your bed. Just don't answer him. Don't answer him.
So your husband needs to
just don't answer him.
Right. Your husband needs to know that he's saying it from a man's perspective, and a man can let it roll off a back. A woman can't. A woman has too much of her identity wrapped up in her home and her whatever he's attacking you with. And if he starts attacking your husband on his Torah learning or on his that halacha, you don't know anything about halacha or whatever, your husband would also take offense. It's not just that he's got thicker skin, which men usually do, but it's also he's attacking the kids are very smart. They know exactly the triggers.
They know where your buttons are and when to press them.
That's exactly it. That's it.
Oh, yes.
So we have to end, but I just want the two main issues, the two take-home messages. Number one, zero tolerance. And the second one is preempt. You have to preempt the whole thing while it's happening, month before, week before, day before. You have to tell your son, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm sorry. Done. I'm not putting up with it anymore. And if you withholding food from him, withhold something else. Say, you asked me if I could babysit Saturday night. You said that mean thing to me. I'm not babysitting Saturday night. I'm sorry. Whatever you can take, like a little baby, until he learns the lesson. You know him better. So I'm giving you the advices, the specifics I'm giving you could be right on target, or they could be like, that's so not it. But it's not the specific advice. I'm just giving you different examples of what you could do. You have to really, really calculate and think about what's going to work with this boy. You know him better than anybody, and what's going to work with your husband. And that's preemptive. Zero tolerance. You hear me, Michal? Zero tolerance. Okay.
That's a toughie.
It's a toughie. Zero.
He's daily.
That's it. But he's bringing out the worst in you, and that is so heartbreaking because you're such a yum, and he's bringing out the worst of you. He's bringing out the worst of you, and you have to tell him that. You have to say, it brings out the worst of me, and that's so not nice. I'm working so hard to be a good person, to improve my mitos or whatever, and you know exactly what button to press to bring out the worst in me, and that's not so nice. I can't help it. I've got OCD. I've got whatever.
Oh, no, he doesn't agree that he has OCD. That's beside the point.
Okay, all right.
Oh, no.
Okay, zero tolerance and preemptive. Thank you, Michal, so much for being on the show. You're terrific. Thank you for sharing yourself. Hashem should bench, and we want to hear back. Send me an email or whatever, somehow, or an email, a video clip, something, so we can hear how it goes. Hashem should bench you with bracha and koyach, and that your husband's heart should soften to be more and more loyal to you each and every day. Amen. Okay.
Thank you. It's all Klal Yisrael.
Amen. Okay, it's Leah Richeimer for the Ladies Talk Show. We'll see you.